A Tale of Golden Lake Valley by Chris Kyler Derma. To return the kiss on my palm I took to school with me that day, for my late mother, Sheila Dawn. Long ago, on a blistering summer evening, a group of old Western travelers came to a rest near a lake. As dust settled across their broad-brimmed hats and covered wagons, through a daze they surveyed their find. A lush forest, towering with pines, ripe with cones, honeysuckle vines holding on to slick pine saplings, and clusters of brush at the forest floor housed tweeting sparrows. Tall, moist grass at their feet became shorter, melding into smooth stones and soft sand toward the water's edge. Northward, a river was slipping from a small boulder ledge into a pool. A resistance was suspended in the air like dense fog. Any second something could jump out and take their breath away. No serious danger was showing his face. The thought of a restful night was too good to be true. Cautious, tired, and dirty, they took long gulps of untainted water and rinsed the dust from their skin. A few women unpacked 3 overstuffed wagons and tethered horses while the men poked around a few. After a quick meal of cornbread, beans, and pork, they hunkered down, allowing the dullness and the call of loons to lull them into the night and to sleep. Come the next morning, they slowly and drearily woke to a mesmerizing, luminous golden sheen. The gleam cast into their widening eyes was like the purest and earliest form of inspiration. The surface of the lake sparkled and twinkled like gold flecks. Moved by this beauty, they decided to give in to their travel and named the surrounding area Golden Lake Valley. Soon after the nearly unanimous city naming, a grumpy old man in disagreement with the naming headed away spitting some jig or another about not wanting to be bothered with who was named the city and what the city name would be named. In his absence, the old Westerners designed, planned, and constructed a quaint and productive city of pine to the east of the lake. The crag to the south became Clive's Bend, conceived by old man Clive, the grumpy old man who left. With a rifle in one hand and a cigar choking him from the other, he set his foot down and named his own little piece of property. He's been alone ever since. The stretch is often the attraction of bandits and connects Golden Lake Valley with river country, a bustling southern town. Following the waterfall to a river, they explored majestic hills where the river became crystal clear waterfalls and cooler air nearing drifting opaque white clouds. There, they met the friendly natives whom showed them a meticulous hunt. From boulder-strewn peaks, they saw west to vast and open pastures bound by forests and ending southwardly at Clive's Bend. A few of the men returned to the city of Golden Lake with tales of fur and supply-gifting monsters the natives called bears. They showed them the thick, dense pelts and promised a contribution each spring, with others such as rabbit, deer, raccoon, opossum, mountain bighorn, and squirrel. Throughout the years, many wagon trains and herds of cattle passed from one city to the next, created heavy packed ground. They came through the city of Golden Lake. We named this path the road to the frontier. The use of the road has changed due to the demands of the inhabitants of Golden Lake Valley. The road is widely known. Entering the city on the road from the south, Golden Lake Valley is introduced by merchant wagons and merchants shouting at anyone in a radius of 100 feet. They want buyers to take a look at fruits, tools, kitchenware, and various other products. Off to one side is a huge fenced lumber lot and carpentry workshop owned by Mr. Berber. He is a stocky, thick-framed man with the skill of an artisan blacksmith and woodworker. His dark eyes and hair are so often smothered in sawdust that his true identity is hidden in a blonde veil. Beyond Mr. Berber's shop is Scully's Saloon, the rowdiest spot in town. The name of the saloon could have been Scully's Tavern, but he liked the rhythm and rhyme of the S's. His place is hugged by Janice's Humboldt Ale, a gathering spot for handsome hunks, wayfarers, and drunks. Because so many not-so-fortunate suede men find their boots on fire after visiting the salon circle of Janice's brothel mooches, Mr. Juan Hernandez, a loyal fellow, opened both his boot shop across the street as a sort of reminder to remain monogamous. Adjacent is a place to clean up with Dill, the barber. His place is spick and span, and that's the way cowmen leave. In the center of the city, a bank and clock stand like beacons of promise, purpose, and reward. Protected by James Smith, the sheriff, and Victor Lopez, his deputy, Mr. Scooter, the banker, pretty much has his say. His voice is though seldom heard on topics other than finance. After a quick monetary withdrawal, the most common place shoppers visit is Lot Caddy Corner, Mr. Barnaby's thrift and grocery store. Behind the large shop is a corral, usually showcasing the newest prize workhorse for sale. Squealing pigs, noisy sheep, and clucking chickens are common. To the furthest expanse northward in town is quietness, with the expectation of tranquility and learning. Cozy cafe, photography studio, library, and florist boutique is the last air departing wagons will experience. There, Lily, an expert in horticulture, and Violet, a clothing artist, have created a Victorian-style boutique of floral arrangements and fine women apparel. They were invited to Golden Lake Valley by Mr. Stanley, one of the oldest and wisest members of the community. He is a librarian and instructor. With him came Mr. Preston, a flamboyant photographer who runs a quaint photography studio. When his studio is closed, he can be found anywhere flowers in bloom or turning season is falling. Their works are a sight to behold, and are often sought. Our majestic hills have become home to the hillsmen and hillbillies, as they like to be referred. The hillbillies are responsible for much of the city's market of fish, and the hillsmen have lingered in the high-rise folds, even though they are fairly civilized. At their foothills, a very simple three-member family, the Garrisons, had settled. They had been interested in sheep herding. Their shack had been built to reflect an old Irish-style box and field home. Old Dan Ty built his sawmill and cabin on the river flowing from the north. His ingenuity was the innovation allowing the travelers to become civilized and the supplies to build the city. Husband and father, with the aid of his son, they processed logs at Tithe and Son lumber processing mill. Most importantly, originally claiming the pastures to the west. The Clemmings men took pride in gathering wild beasts from the land and breaking them into suitable companions. The horse stables built closest to the lake was owned by Mr. Jeff Clemmings. His wife, Mrs. Clemmings, had insisted that his stables are homesteads surrounded by stables because the cowhands tend to simply wander from the bunkhouse into her cabin kitchen for the hypnotic scent of her delicious blueberry pies. And it goes without saying, she has some of the best seasonal fruit and vegetable yields. That was Golden Lake Valley in all its splendor. Even though many years had passed, not much had changed. This tale all began with the prettiest little woman a woman would ever meet.